The right to grow your own food. That's a good idea. Well, it's being hijacked by the federal government. Christina Sarich of Natural News shows us the latest document. It's an executive order. Executive Order 13603, the National Defense Resources Preparedness. Who knew it even existed? Quote, all commodities and products that are capable of being ingested by either human beings or animals. That means they control it all. And I'll tell you about a phone call I got from a state official as a certified organic farmer wanting to know what are you growing, how much are you growing, where is it growing, where is it being stored, how much of each item, where are your seeds, where are they stored. And when I ask, why is it any of your business? I'll tell you the response. And we will be taking your calls on our Talkback segment later on. Plus today, the Trans-Pacific Partnership explained in a minute and 4 seconds in a different way. And for those of you who've wondered what's going on in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we all want peace. Any reasonable person wants peace for both. The Jewish population should have a right to live in peace without fear, as should the Palestinians. Well, in comes the fly in the ointment, the Israeli settlements. And here it's explained. So you see, we have a lot of topics. First, let's start with the very basic. Grapefruits. Now, grapefruits are great, especially in the summertime when you can take them out and cube them. You peel it and then you throw that into a blender. Then you put in some lemon juice on top of that, 1 teaspoon of Manuka honey, which is a phenomenal healing honey. It's great for killing bacteria and staph and all forms of infections in your body. And then you put in a little vitamin C, and then you put in your water and you blend it. And you talk about with ice. You talk about quenching your thirst, but it also does a lot more. It can help protect your DNA to stop cancer. That's correct. We all understand that your DNA is your individual code. For example, all your unique qualities in life come through your DNA. It's therefore important that to protect your DNA from damage. However, reasonably speaking, we live in a world that we're all damaging our DNA. Now, I've never smoked or drank or, taken drugs, any of that, and I'm not making a judgment against people who do. It's just speaking for myself. I want to see, well, how do you damage if you're not doing the obvious? Well, you could have a bad diet. You could have a lot of animal proteins or a lot of denatured fats. That'll do a lot of damage to your DNA. Or you could have a lot of sugars, especially a high fructose corn syrup. Or you can eat a lot of fried foods. Or you could be on like a lot of Americans are on sugar-free diets, but they're high in fat. Or they can be on a fat-free diet and high in sugars. All damaging to your DNA. You could overeat. That really damages your DNA, especially when our appetite determines how much we're going to eat. And generally, the stronger your appetite, the more likely you are to want to eat high nutrient, meaning fat or protein-dense foods like a steak, because there's a certain mouthfeel, there's a certain satiety where a person feels, well, now I've eaten this meal, I feel comfortable. No, you're stuffed, and it's going to hurt your DNA. And of course, exercise, which is how I hurt my DNA, by training, in some cases, when training for the World Games, up to 25 miles a day on the road, plus climbing 25 flights of stairs 25 times, plus working out versa climbers, and all damages the DNA because the body wasn't meant to do a marathon. Can it do a marathon is a separate matter. Later, I would determine how to do a marathon and at least help the cells that are under attack. But that took a while to understand and to implement. So at the end of the day, all of us are living in an environment where we're exposed to multiple antigens or things that attack us. Now, here's how it works. Let's say you damage your DNA. You work in a paint company. The fumes, you're damaging a lot of DNA. But you're young, and you think, well, I'm young, my DNA will repair itself. In some cases, they will. But the older you get, the less it's able to repair itself. Let me just give you an example. Anyone who is a responsible owner of a car knows that you have to take it in on a regular basis, have the oil changed, have the spark plugs cleaned. You have to maintain it. But after, let's say, 100,000 miles, even being very diligent, it's not the same car as when it was new. And for all of us who have worked on cars, and we call it a 100-point restoration, where we do a frame-off restoration. We take every single part out, and in effect, it's made new. And that is different. But we don't do that with our bodies. We don't have a frame-off restoration. The closest we could come to that would be to do a complete in-home, guided by a professional, detoxification rejuvenation, which will take realistically about 1.5 to 2 years. Within 2 years, you could de-age your body by about 8 years at the biological level, and you'd also see noticeable physical changes. You'd be much younger, muscles tighter, more ripped, less fat, wouldn't have the abdominal fat and the thigh fat and the buttock fat. You'd have more energy, digestion better, energy through the roof, by the way, when you wake up in the morning, better night's sleep. All these things would happen because you would have really devoted your time to it. So, let's say that we are over 40 and we've done a lot of things that we should have done or shouldn't have done that we didn't know, but we injured ourselves. Now our body can't repair the DNA, not the way it was. So we end up having defective DNA. The defective DNA can lead to cancer. It can also lead to fatigue. So how can we stop that? Well, there's two things that definitely can and help the body repair its DNA and actually help stop cancer. Now write this down. It's a bioflavonoid. I've mentioned it before, but it's time because of a new study to mention again. It's found in all citrus in small amounts, but in grapefruit in big amounts. Hence, the grapefruit can now be listed as one of our most important anti-aging, anti-cancer foods. The nutrient is called naringenin. Narin, N-A-R-I-N, genin, G-E-N-I-N, naringenin. And it's extremely powerful. Now, here's how it works according to a good study. The naringenin helps to repair damaged DNA, and it was also in this study shown to help the human prostate cancer cells stop growing. And naringenin was able to aid in restoring health to the damaged DNA through the induction of two enzymes that work during the cell replication stage. And most importantly, this worked with an amount of naringenin that is physiologically achievable in tissues. So that's important. And so consuming grapefruit regularly can be an excellent way to stop cancer. Now, granted, there has not been naringenin on brain cancer or liver cancer, but the fact that it worked on a cancer means that there's no reason not to project that it couldn't work on other cancers as well. And so that's important. Now, also, we have what is called resveratrol. That's the second ingredient, and you get that in grapes. So those of you who are eating grapes, always wash your grapes, and with a veggie wash, and then agitate it in cold water, and then eat it. And the more you can find seeded grapes, chew on those seeds, throw them in a blender. They're great for you. The skin of the grape and the seeds of the grape contain most of what is biologically active and healing in the body. And the resveratrol, anywhere from 50 to 200 milligrams a day is what you should have. When you start going above 200 milligrams, let's say 200 to 400, you're really superpotentizing. That also protects DNA. And here's the irony. The sicker you are, the better resveratrol helps restore the health of your DNA. So resveratrol directly, or grapes, or grape juice, or grape concentrate, or grape powder. And get your grape in there every day, and that's two nutrients to help protect your DNA and slow down the aging process. Now, from Copenhagen University Hospital, published in Gait and Posture, they found that the rosinoids are the active ingredient in rosehip, and this was used for 12 weeks, and it made an enormous difference on the biomechanics in the knee. Quote, "This is the first study to assess the efficacy of rosehip on the biomechanics of the knee joint during walking," and that was in the Department of Rheumatology, Copenhagen University Hospital. So that means that for those of you who have knee problems, if you take rosehip, which you can buy in any health food store, I would suggest maybe about 500 milligrams a day. And also, this is from the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Disease. The modern diet, what they're calling the Western diet, quote, "can lead to poor immune functioning and increase the risk of inflammatory conditions, allergies, autoimmune," and this is what they say, quote, "Besides affecting immune function and our own health, modern diets could also code, meaning implant, into our DNA and our gut bacteria to pass on poor immune functions to our children." And this was published in the peer-reviewed journal, Nutritional Journal. So, in lay language, here's what this means. When you eat the typical Western diet, bacon and eggs, coffee and toast for breakfast, or some form of cola, or sweet roll, or have your grilled cheese sandwich or hamburger for lunch, and have your typical dinner with French fries, and what you're doing, you're creating negative bacteria, bad bacteria. You're also defecting the DNA. You're destroying your immune system. And this can lead to having diseases later in life. But if you do it and have a kid, the kid starts life with your defective DNA. So imagine the beauty and treasure and glory of a newborn baby. Shouldn't you take the time for a planned pregnancy and detoxify emotionally, spiritually, and physically for at least 2 years? Because it would take 2 years to do that right. Then you start that child with absolutely positive genetic expression, good bacteria in their body. And remember, a mother's breast milk, and the mother, and people don't understand one of the built-in functions of life is for the mother to nurture the baby. It doesn't matter what culture, it doesn't matter the kind of creature. I've seen it in chimpanzees, in elephants. Watch a cow right after she's given delivery, and she looks around, and see this embryonic sac, and she immediately licks off the sac. And then this little creature, this little heifer, starts to open its eyes and look around its environment. Now it's outside the protection of its mother's womb, and its tongue is darting around the barn, and it's picking up bacteria. And that bacteria normally would kill the baby, generally in a very short period of time. But immediately the mother is licking its face. And what the mother is doing, the mother is picking up the bacteria from the child, immediately creating antibodies, and then giving it as a natural immunization boost back through the breast, through the milk, the udder milk. A mother does the same thing. A mother looks at her baby, kisses the baby, the saliva from the baby goes on the mother's mouth. The mother then immediately starts to create antibodies, which she passes through in her breast milk, and hence naturally immunizing the baby. This is done all over the world. And if there wasn't the love hormone, that might not occur, but it does. So the stronger the immune system of a human or an animal, the stronger the immunity of their offspring. So when you see people smoking and drinking and stressed, and by the way, stress is one of the worst epigenetic energies you can implant into a DNA. And it's implanted. And that's why some babies born are never as joyful and because they started off with that which was negative in the parent is now in their DNA. And this isn't superstition. This is a whole field of epigenetics. And finally, a good study on the role of vitamin C. If you are deficient in vitamin C, and most people are, then you could be one of the 30-plus million Americans who have some form of thyroid disease. And when you have an impaired thyroid, that is absolutely going to lead to other conditions. Gaining weight, losing hair, thinning of the eyebrows, fatigue. You can end up having altered heart, brain, muscles, liver from an underactive thyroid. And stress, oxidative stress and emotional stress, chemical stress, all hurt the thyroid gland. So in a paper published in the British Medical Journal, Endocrine Disorders, it reported on the impact of thyroid function with vitamin C. So you need vitamin C for your thyroid. So make sure you're getting, I would say, between 2,000 to 5,000 milligrams a day on the low side. Take it in buffered form. And it can make all the difference in the world to your thyroid, which then affects your metabolism, which then gives you more energy, causes you to burn fat, feel better, sleep better, have better digestion. That's how powerful our thyroid is. And by the way, it helps to have a nice bowl of seaweed soup 2-3 times a week.